Hello, welcome to Java Programming Tutorials, Chapter 22, Part 2, Key Points in Interface, brought to you by Ankpro Technologies. My name is Harish. So in this session we are going to learn about some of the key points in the interface. So the key points in the interface includes the first point, the interface cannot have a constructor, non-abstract method and the main method. So let me show you a demo of this. So let me jump into Eclipse right now, and here I have a class sample. So what I'll do is I'll take a interface. So the interface name is detail, or let me take it as print. So as we learned in the last session, interface can contain only method definition but not the implementation. So our first sentence, what it tells us, it justifies telling you like it cannot contain a constructor, non-abstract method and a main method. So let me show you that. It's very simple. So what I'll do is first let me try to create a constructor. So the constructor will be same name as the class name, but when I do that, you can observe very clearly I'm getting a red squiggly there, which points that it is an error. So when I over on that, it is telling like interfaces cannot have the constructors. So this is one point we have to keep in mind when you're working with interface. So now let me erase this thing, and now let me define a normal method. So public void demo, this is my method, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to write a method definition. So when I over on that, we can observe very clearly abstract methods do not specify a body. So in the sense, if I define any method inside an interface, and that method will be an abstract method, and keep in mind abstract method will be not having the method implementation, it has only the method definition. So that's the reason we're getting red squiggly here. So let me remove this thing also. So let me jump back to presentation, and these are the two things what I proved right now, like interface cannot have the constructor and it cannot have a non-abstract method, and it also cannot have a main method. So what I do is let me copy this method here and let me define it here, and you can observe here again we will get an error telling like okay, cannot have a main method. So we are getting an error, abstract method do not specify a body. Okay, and this is what I can tell about the interface. It cannot have a main method too, and interfaces cannot be instantiated in the Java, because in the sense you can't create an object of an interface. So if I try to create an object of this interface, print p is equal to new print, when I try to do that, I hope I'll get an error telling like cannot instantiate the type print. In the sense you cannot create an interface, you cannot create an object of a interface. That's what the meaning of that sentence. Okay, and interfaces cannot have concrete methods. Concrete methods in the sense, let me explain you very clearly. In the sense I cannot have a complete method inside an interface. That's what I meant. Void, like this is my demo method. So concrete method is this method, like where it cannot have a method definition. Okay, and this is what the meaning of this sentence. And variables declared should be public, static and final. So that is also the important point we have to keep in mind when you're working with the interfaces. In the sense if I define a variable like int sum, and let me assign some value to it, so keep in mind this variable can contain a public keyword, public and static, and also it can have a final, it can be final keyword also. You can add to this the variable inside the interface. In the sense variables declared should be public, static and final. If you don't specify these three things, okay, by default it will be having those three keywords present in front of it. So I mean it will be defined in this manner if you don't specify defaultly. So this is what the things we have to keep in mind when we are working with the interfaces. So I hope you understood this, what is interface and what are the key points we have to keep in mind when you're working with the interface. So finally, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel Ankpro Training. You can also like our Facebook page visiting this URL. You can also follow us on Twitter. For further reference, refer our website. We're on LinkedIn too. Last but not the least, please don't forget to give the feedback. Thank you. Have a great day.